San Diego. California is going into a little bit of a shelter in place again.
Yeah.
So we're in our home, and this week we're talking to you about this incredible energy system called the radiant circuits. And so we want you to get comfy, get relaxed, stay with us. Maybe we'll go 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. We're going to talk to you all about what the radiant circuits are, how they work in your body, how you can use them, how they benefit you. And today we're talking about bringing in good habits, reevaluating who you are after what we've all been through for the last 4.5 months, and how you can kind of reinvent your life. So I'm going to sit up here with Mom. And Mom, I want to go back a little bit.
Okay.
Because some people will come in and welcome. And Mom, remember you're looking over there at the arrow.
Okay.
Some of you will come in and you're new to us. You're new to the Eden method. You're new to Eden energy medicine and to my mom, Donna Eden.
Hi, Tanya.
And people will come, oh, my sister. Hi, Tanya. Hi, Diane McKeon. So people who are new will come onto the internet or on YouTube, and they'll see videos of us, and they'll see us doing exercises.
Yes.
And some people will say, well, that looks a lot like Qigong. Or, oh, that's just acupressure. Or, oh, they're just working with the chakras. And Donna must have taken these modalities, put them together, and slapped her name on them. But no, the story is very, very, very different. And so I'm going to tell you briefly, and then I'm going to let my mom talk, that she actually has seen energies in the body since she was born. And when you start to study with her and you take our classes, you realize how in-depth it goes. We look at 9 distinct energy systems in the body. One of those is the radiant circuits, which we're talking about and celebrating this week. But it wasn't until maybe in your mid-30s that you turned on to Touch for Health.
Yeah.
Mid-30s. It's an organization called Touch for Health, and they had names for everything you had always seen. You had always seen the chakras as these swirling discs of energy, and the lines on the body, which are meridians, although you didn't have words for them.
That's right.
Because she didn't study them. So there are exercises that she has created that can change your life. Some of the exercises are similar to Qigong and other modalities because we're working with energies. So of course they would be similar. We're working with the meridians and the chakras and the aura and the radiant circuits. And so I think a lot of people know your story. Mom healed herself of MS, of severe allergies, of things that
Asthma
really almost took her down. I'll let you talk.
Well, okay. Well, I think I would like to speak on how the radiant circuits themselves apply to me and how they can apply to you.
Yeah, and will you also tell us, I'm just poofing your pillow behind you.
My daughter.
Will you also tell us kind of how you discovered the radiant circuits? Because the radiant circuits is what we call them. They're similar, and I'm taking your words, Mom. They're similar, but not exactly the same to the strange flows in Chinese medicine, or what they have other words for them, the extraordinary vessels. How did you discover them? Because that plays into also what we're talking about today, which is kind of reinventing who you are and redefining who you are after what you've been through for the last 4.5 months.
Yes, well, first I want to say, I am blown away by the ancient cultures who all came to these energy systems that we're talking about and teaching. I mean, in every culture, it's not just, we tend to think that it's just out of Asia and the Middle East and China, but it was all over the world. Wherever I've gone, some variation of what I teach is there. And so if you see energy, if you sense it in some other way, you also may have tripped upon these different systems. But today, the radiant circuits, how that came about for me, I was about 15 or 16 and everything was starting to break down in my body, and my body was falling apart, and I couldn't lose weight no matter what I did. And I just began to see if I could find the energy inside me that spoke to holding on to weight. And I found actually a couple of different energy systems that were a part of my weight, but one of them was the radiant circuits. And there is a pathway inside our bodies called the Regulator Flow. And I know mine was nuts inside of me and wasn't regulating anything. It was taking me down in multiple sclerosis and in asthma and all my allergies. But it was also keeping weight on me. It was not burning calories. So I began to experiment with the Regulator Flow. And that was the beginning to finally lose weight and burn calories like you're supposed to. And there was a second one. I mean, this came in little bits and pieces. And the second one was in my early 30s, I was going to divorce her father. And I thought, I was feeling pretty much of a victim, and I did not know how to find the power in me to step away. And I didn't want to pretend some power. I wanted to find what was real inside of me. And also I was going to have to make a living. And I also wanted to keep my spirits up for my daughters, my two daughters. And so I began to just go deep inside me, and I found one of those radiant circuits called the penetrating flow. And on that penetrating flow, I found my real power that was mine. And I began to ride on that power and on that energy. And also the natural joy that was mine was there. And I began to know I could do it. I got a sense of myself and the knowing that I could do this.
So you're hearing terms like regulator flow and penetrating flow. You can find out more about these in our free class. We have a free class, and we have Kelmy and Carrie and beautiful staff members behind the scenes putting the link into the comments below. So please check that out. We filmed that a couple of months ago for you, and we try very hard in our company, always have to give as much free information as we can. So that's a free class for you. And Mom, when you say things, and you don't have to go in depth into this because we don't want to confuse anyone either, but when you say things about regulator flow and penetrating flow, you didn't have those names for them then.
No,
you stumbled upon them, you found them in your body. What did that feel like? Did it feel like did you put your hands on your body and they suddenly went into a crevice? Did you put your hands on yourself and you suddenly felt joy? Or did you actually just see them with your eyes?
It was a combination. I just get very still. I knew I could work on other people, but I didn't know how to work on myself. And it was, again, a combination of placing my hands on my body, and I feel very comfortable with my hands right up here on my heart chakra. This feels home to me. This, and also in my second chakra, which is just right over your belly. I could put my hands there, and the energy from my hands would go deeper and deeper inside of me. And I noticed that, for instance, I first mentioned the regulator flow. It was very different than the penetrating flow. The penetrating just goes deep. It penetrates you deep. And so I could just start traveling it. And it would also take my consciousness. My consciousness would go with it. And I began to learn and find out where it was. And in fact, okay, on the penetrating flow, if you take your hands and put your fingers right in back of your belly button, right in back, there's a point there called the Mimin Flow. And I'd let my thumbs wrap around my waist. And if I held that and brought my elbows back and stand straight, I'd feel more powerful. It was that simple. I'd feel like I had some power inside of me. And from there, it just, that I just followed to where that energy was traveling in my body, which was up over my hip bones. And it was like a horseshoe that would go there. And then I would travel straight up my body to here. And then I'd come back down to the heart. And and every day I would follow that until I felt powerful enough to take my daughters and get out of Dodge.
And guess what? You can learn that. You can learn that whole tracing system in our free class. The URL and the link for it is in the comments below. And guess what? You can click on that right after this live stream and go take it right away. So if you're thinking, next week I'm busy and I don't have time, you can take it right now if you'd like, or you can schedule it in when it works for you. So the regulator flow, the penetrating flow, again, these are flows of energy that make up the radiant circuits. And Mom, you're talking about a time, 2 times in your life when you kind of redefined who you are with weight loss and divorce. And that's what a lot of you are grappling with right now. Who were you before COVID? Who do you want to be? Reevaluating who you are spiritually, with your family, with your loved ones, and also here in the United States, dealing with this systemic racism, which is so important that it's up in our faces right now. That will also change your perspective. Who do you want to be from what's happening in current events? Well, the radiant circuits can help you become you in an easier way without going to years of talk therapy or trying to find yourself. Yes.
I mean, there is no way you can feel judgment against somebody if your radiants are on. If your radiant circuits are really flowing, you can't feel judgmental. You feel compassion, understanding, acceptance, love. Those are the things you feel. You don't feel judgment.
Yeah, so talk a little bit more. If you weren't with us yesterday, we had a live stream on fight, flight, freeze, fog, and then I think it was Trish Kirby who wrote in and said, don't forget fawn. And that was really clever and important, because fawn is that need to please people. And a lot of you have been there, that especially, come on women,
that's
that
really good.
that
Fawn.
need, fawn, that need to please people. And then who are you? You get lost. You always say you get lost in other people's stories. And earlier in your life, not so much anymore, but earlier it was hard to hear your own story.
I couldn't hear my own story. And fawn, I understand that. It wasn't so much that I wanted to please them. Because I could see their energy, I saw them disappearing or I saw them hurting, and I would forget who I was. And and let me tell you, when you're getting a divorce, it all has to be real. It has to be so real to be able to step out in your power and in your joy and in your appreciation and compassion, all of that. And self-compassion, self-appreciation has to be there. And so what I love about the radiance is what is natural. It is what is really natural. And they are pathways, but unlike meridians, they don't stay on the pathway. I always think of, everybody knows what it's like when I say, think of what it's like when you fall in love. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. So these radiant circuits it's like they jump the pathway and go everywhere. They go off the path.
Yeah, and it's such a good time, really potent time in the world to be thinking about radiance and joy, especially if you've been working on yourself. And you've been working on yourself to get rid of your old stories and get rid of your old habits and not have your, quote, bad habits anymore. The radiant circuits help you to bring in refreshing, healthy, good habits, healthy for your mind and your soul. And it's just the perfect time to kind of rediscover you in a new way. So I want to, oh yes, go.
No, it's just that she's right. This is the perfect time when you might have a little bit of time to not struggle with your mind so much. Not struggle with your mind to be different or to get powerful or to feel happier, but to just shift your energies. Shift your energies and you will shift your mind. It'll happen automatically.
Yeah, that's a big idea to think about, but when it happens for you, it's incredible. And I'm going to use an example of growing up with you, Mom, and you know, maybe I'd be depressed. Maybe I was in junior high and I was depressed, or I was in college and I was having a bad day. And Mom would say, well, have you done your exercises? Have you done your cross crawl or your zip up or your hook up, all these different exercises we have? And I'd say, no, because I'm too depressed, because I'm too tired. I don't want to. All I want to do is lay around. And she'd say, then lay around, then do it in bed, then do it on the floor. And all you have to do while you're laying in bed is put your fingers there and do it. And what happens is the energy changes, which is what you just said. The energy shifts. And what I love about the work is that you don't have to be thinking positive for it to work. And I hate to say it, but I'm kind of a cynical person.
She is.
And I see things negatively. I know you wouldn't believe it because I'm the daughter of Donna Eden who sees everything positively, but I see things negatively. And when you tell a cynic or a person who does kind of view the world with a darker lens to get out of that, that's impossible. That's years of therapy.
Yeah.
But when you do a 20-second exercise and your energy shifts and then you're thinking positively and you didn't even try. In fact, you were thinking negatively when you did the exercise, and then suddenly you can't think negatively anymore.
Yeah.
It saved my life. It has saved my life.
It's really true. It's really true. And for me to say, well, like for instance, when I got a divorce, to say, no, we're leaving. I couldn't say no before. I couldn't say no because I couldn't bear hurting people. I couldn't bear giving Dondi one more thing to be negative about, you know. But you find your power, you find your truth, you find your sunshine, you find your moon. You find the real energy that is about planet Earth, I think.
Yeah, and a joy comes in, and that's what the radiant circuits are. A joy comes in. Half the time, I'm like, where did that come from? Because it just drops into your being. It's a very clear, knowing joy. It's not a, hey, I'm so happy, I'm not going to think about everything that's going on in the world. It's, wow, I can really look at the world now, and I have a clarity.
You know that experience when you're feeling down in the dumps, and then somebody you haven't seen in a long time suddenly shows up, and your energy shifts. You're just so glad to see this person, and you come alive, and you don't know where that energy came from, but it's there, and that's what you tap into.
That's
a radiant circle.
Great analogy. Great analogy. So we're talking about discovering a new you, releasing old icky habits, bringing in new ones, which are so much easier to bring in when you're working with the radiant circuits. We have a free class to offer you. I'm going to tell you about that free class in a moment, but I also want to ask you about what is valuable in your life and what isn't. And that can be such a big question, but when you start to think about it and do exercises of the radiant circuits, it becomes clear. It becomes clear in a way that you don't have to struggle. What is valuable, what isn't, and how do I get rid of the stuff that isn't valuable to me? So again, I just have to say it's such a potent time to redefine who you are. So let me tell you a little bit about what's in the free class, because I know we have our staff members, our beautiful angel women, putting the link in the comments for you. These are just some of what you'll have in this hour-long free class. You'll get to learn about the belt flow, how it works. The belt flow works with both hormones and digestive issues. You'll get to learn about the central meridian line that comes up the front of the body and how that works with self-esteem, feeling safe. It's a great one to teach your kids, whether you're a teacher or a parent or a caretaker or an aunt or an uncle, to teach kids how to feel strong in who they are and not feel bullied. You'll learn about the triple warmer, and the triple warmer alone can save your life. No way about it.
This is not an elective subject anymore. It's so important to learn about some of these energies, but triple warmer is the energy that's been running us all since the beginning of time, which was that fight, flight, freeze, fawn.
So you'll also learn about how the radiant circuits can really activate and open up your deep intuition. If you're a person who has really wanted to trust your intuition, how do I trust my intuition? When do I know it's true intuition or just something I shouldn't pay as much attention to? That becomes more clear with the radiant circuits. The immune system, you'll learn about the immune system and how the radiant circuits really plays into the immune system.
I don't want to interrupt, but I want to say here's something that I don't always think to say about the radiant circuits, but if it's in alignment with intuition and being psychic. But I have had so many people tell me that they learned to be able to hear what their body was saying and be able to literally talk to their bodies, and it's just really true. It's like it opens up and you realize that there is a language your body speaks, and each and every organ in your body can talk to you and give you some information, and that's what the radiant circuits open up also for you.
Nice. And forgive us for the trash trucks. It's Wednesday, it's trash day. Also, I do want to say about the free class, if you're a beginner, it's perfect for you. It's a perfect class. It stands alone. You'll learn 3 great techniques. You'll see Mom working with a volunteer in that class. So sign up for the class. You can take it. It's free. Why not? And what else do we want to say before we sign off, Mom? About the radiant circuits, about joy.
You said it early on that here we are, we're coming up out of COVID time. It could be similar to coming out of a divorce. You're in a real shift time, a time where you can bring into your life more joy, more power, more a sense of self and self-esteem. All these things are possible. And what better time than right now to leave some of the old negativity behind and leave some fear behind. Leave those things behind and step into the new you.